These, and I've been looking, the ages are, quite diverse, but it's mostly young people. Right here where I'm talking to you from Norwood Street, here in Brunswick, they had a raid the other day. This is a city that's what, Daryl, 80% black, and they had a mass deportation raid here on the very street that I'm talking to you, sitting at right this minute. And people were confused, people were scared, people were hiding. I mean, this is what fascism looks like, people. I agree with you that we all got to learn in this era how we stand up, how we make our voices heard. You're going to learn some of how to do that from looking at the past, but we also got to translate it and apply it to this moment. It is so, so, so important. Doctor, I have a question for you, Ernie. Professor Crunk, said the other day that, people talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, but actually what this administration is pushing is resegregation. Do you agree? I love
resegregation. That's interesting. That particular comment, I guess, can be corrected to an extent. I guess I've always viewed our history and our struggle as being a footnote in the history of America in terms of how it's been recorded. So for me, it's just that this administration is just a continuance of that same effort, not to merely just list us as a footnote, but I think more important, for me, the fear is absolute erasure, not just from history, okay? Because when you look at all the other intersections of what oppresses our existence and our lives, that is what is most concerning to me right now. Our health and our welfare as a people and as a community is under threat. And I don't think that's something that necessarily is covered in the narratives that we get daily. But I think that term or that usage is appropriate, but I just think it's much more serious than that.
Yes. And I also, want to, make sure that everybody is aware that not only is the federal government being taken over by this oligarchy, by this white supremacist administration, but we also are seeing a lot of corporations abandoning their DEI programs. And as we mentioned last week, TJC is a Transformative Justice Coalition that Daryl and I head up, that we're very much committed to making sure that we promote the No DEI, No Buy campaign, that we know that throughout this country already we're seeing the effect that good companies are having by standing by their DEI programs, but we're also seeing what people are doing to Target, what people are doing to Amazon, what people are doing to these companies that turned their back on their DEI programs. And I am reading, people talking about their Targets being, empty, the stores being empty, or people bringing back merchandise and turning it back. Those are individual actions of resistance, aren't they, Dr. Kaye? Aren't they, individuals standing up and saying, I'm going to stand for the future? Tell us about it.
Well, I talk to people about what protests should look like at this moment, and why it is that they have to decide how they're going to protest. Like you, Barbara, I've heard people often say that, if Dr. King was here, I'd be marching with him. If it was during the time of slavery, I'd be standing up. Everybody would have been an activist. But I argue that actually what you're doing now is what you would have been doing then. You are who you are. No matter the century, you are exactly who you are. So if you're not standing up now, I can rest assured you'd be one of the people who said Dr. King was hated back then, because that's just who you are.
Right.
You have to determine, and it's the work that I'm doing around what I call redemption, regression, and resistance. That we know that in this country, and Professor Quarles can speak about this, in this country, whenever there's a moment of redemption, whenever Black folks gain rights, whenever marginalized communities gain rights, there's always regression. There's always a rise up of white supremacy and white nationalists to not only, if people are going to use the term, resegregate you, but really strip you away of the rights that you have fought to receive. Like, that's what it comes down to. And what we need to do is look at what resistance, I would argue, takes two forms. So you have this form of like outward resistance, right? So we are all boycotting Target, and we're boycotting Walmart, right? Like, we're trying to figure out with the list of everybody we have to boycott, to pretty much is almost everybody that we're boycotting at this moment. That is an outward form of activism. If you're joining kind of a national movement, whatever you consider to be your Montgomery bus boycott at this moment, where you're joining up with like-minded people to say that collectively we're going to do our best to see if we can financially impact what's happening in this store, to show them that we don't like a stand that they have made, which is at this point around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and removing those programs. There's also what I would argue, Barbara, individual acts of resistance, because my mom is in an area where she can't protest Walmart, because that's the only place where she is in this kind of isolated community where she doesn't have much access to public transportation. She doesn't like driving long distances. So I said, Mom, if you have to go into a place that we're, quote, protesting, then why don't you make some intentional decisions? Like, you're going to make sure that you support a black product that's in the store. You're going to make sure that when you go there, you're going to get the things you need. Like, you have to do it so that it works for you, because it's easy to say there's a blanket protest, which is outward, but inwardly making some small individual changes are also effective ways that not just help you, but begin to help what we call the bottom line. So people have to figure out what they can do and then take a stand in that area and then hold firm and say, you know what, I'm not going to, this is my line here.
Yes, and thank you, because, one thing that they've done at some of these stores is they're actually pulling the black products out.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem, that there aren't black products any longer to be bought. But I wanted to talk for a minute about Brunswick, why we're here. Just a minute about the Ahmaud Arbery case. As everybody knows, this is the case involving the poor young black man, 25 years old, who was jogging while black in a predominantly white neighborhood. A couple of people who resided in there got angry about his presence, decided that he had to be a criminal because he was stopped by this abandoned house that had nothing in it to steal, and would get water. And they just thought that, he was, just offended by a black person being in their white neighborhood. So they chased him down, hunted him down, and it resulted in his being blown to pieces by 12-gauge shotgun wielded by one of what we call the murderers, the racist murderers, because later on they were also not only prosecuted for murder, but they were prosecuted by the federal government for hate crimes. So the district attorney is on trial right now, who was the district attorney at that time, because she did not do what she should have done. She's been accused of violating her oath of office. She was accused of obstructing police officers. That charge was dismissed yesterday. Daryl, do you want to bring people up to date what's going on right now? Because the district attorney herself is on the witness stand.
Barbara, it's so extremely rare that you have the top prosecutor in a jurisdiction that is charged with a crime. That's what's happening here in Brunswick, is that Jackie Johnson has been charged now with the violation of her oath of office in Brunswick, Georgia, as it relates to her attempting to interfere, is the allegation, into the investigation of Ahmaud Arbery, thus violating her oath of office by not protecting the citizens, not protecting the rights of Ahmaud Arbery and the family of Ahmaud Arbery once they started going to her to try to get information that she had stonewalled them and had lied to them. So the oath of office charge is what's at play right now. As we just came out of the courthouse, Jackie Johnson was taking the stand to testify in her own defense. So it has been really just an incredible trial that we've been watching.
Yeah.
And, one thing that it does is that we talked about, and I think it was Dr. Whitehead that was talking about people standing up against tyranny, standing up against being done wrong. Well, the Arbery family, that's what they're doing. They're standing up, and because they're standing up for Ahmaud Arbery, that prosecutor now is on trial. Whatever the result, they've done their part in standing up to protect the community and to protect the memory and the life of their lost one, Ahmaud Arbery, Barbara.
Absolutely. And I just want people to understand Diane Arbery is right here. Diane, we are talking to our national audience, and you've been in court every day trying to get some justice here. And we know this blue wall of law enforcement going to always protect each other. But, Diane, what do you want to say to the nation about how your family is fighting and what we're going to do in the future?
We're going to fight, and we're going to try to get some laws changed so we can have better outcomes with stuff like this happening. Because anytime you have a trial right at the courthouse where the person work at, you already know it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. So we're going to leave everything in God's hands, and we're going to continue to fight for another family in case they have to go through something. They can see what we went through. And we're going to support these parents through all this thing that they going through. And we love y'all.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, Diane. We love you, and we love Marcus and the whole family and everybody who's fighting. Daryl, take us home.
We're very thankful for our guest today, Diane Arbery, and the members of the Arbery family. Thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for being an example to the nation on how to stand up and fight when the odds are stacked against you. We appreciate you. Professor Ernest Quarles, we so appreciate you for all that you're doing, Professor Quarles. You're always there. Every call you answer, every bell, you're on the fight. We appreciate you. Dr. Kaye Whitehead, same with you. Welcome on your maiden voyage. We so appreciate you being here and all the knowledge and wisdom that you share with our audience. We're just so appreciative. Caitlyn Arnwine, for all that you're doing with regards to getting that series out, the Black History Month series. We so appreciate it. And, of course, we appreciate our U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen. Thank you so much that Senator Van Hollen was able to join us. Folks, although we're here in Brunswick, Georgia today for the trial of Jackie Johnson regarding the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, we invite you to join us on at tjcoalition.org. You'll get the information. Every February 23rd, which is the day that Ahmaud was killed, the Transformative Justice Coalition does an Ahmaud Arbery Reflection Day, where we go back and we talk about what's happening. We talk about the advancements that are being made. We talk about where we are as a community on the race issue and what we can do to better move ourselves along and to better protect ourselves and be certain that we are electing representatives that are in our community's best interest. That's how we do it. So this February 23rd, we invite you to go to tjcoalition.org. You'll get information for how to join us, how to join the Arbery family, and some special guests that we will be bringing along for this Ahmaud Arbery Day of Reflection. Folks, you will not want to miss that February 23rd. Folks, until next Tuesday, noon Eastern Standard Time, we tell you to get off the sidewalks, get into the streets, get into some good trouble, and protect our community. Until next Tuesday, peace, everybody.
The preceding program was paid for by Barbara Arnwine.
Celebrating Black History Month. Our words, our voices on 1450 and 95.9 WOL. Carl Stokes.
I am angry about the way society neglects its people. I'm angry about the class distinctions, the advantages of the wealthy as opposed to the poor, the less well off. I'm angry about the racism that continues to persist in this nation.
Celebrating Black History Month. Our words, our voices on 1450 and 95.9 WOL.
This is Morgan Freeman. Colorectal cancer is the second leading cancer killer of men and women over 50. Doesn't always cause symptoms, but it can be prevented. Get screened.
A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
1450 WOL, Washington, D.C. WDCJ, Washington 95.9. WMMJ HD2. WKYS HD2. And worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
Information is power, and now available on your smartphone or tablet. Download the free WOL app now.